Welcome back to a very special Christmas edition episode of LVLUP Podcast. And today I have a very special guest with me, Tanner Shuck. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Mina, thank you very much for having me, man. It's an honor to be here.
Same here. So actually, to bring people up to speed, so we met at the Dubai Active Show a couple of weeks ago, and actually
the year before,
we
met.
Shook hands and we talked a bit. And
right.
I have been someone who has been following your content for quite some time, and I find it honestly, and that's not because you're sitting right in front of me, but that's the truth. I find your content one of the most legit fitness content out there, and I personally love seeing what you're talking about, what you're preaching, what you have been advocating. And I felt it was very important to have you here in this venue so that we can talk together and discuss like the content creation business, the fitness industry, and see where are you heading actually.
Yeah, well, firstly, I just want to say thank you very much. I appreciate anyone that follows me and anyone that gets value out of my content. And if it resonates with you, I think that's amazing. My content, it always has a positive purpose. It certainly is not for everyone, but I'm glad you've gotten value out of it. And I do consider myself a legitimate trainer and also content creator. So happy to be here and happy to be doing this podcast with you. And I'm happy to discuss any questions you have for me about my content creation process or anything in general. Super.
So actually, before we start, even I recall a friend of mine. He's actually training also in Ali Youth and. We were talking about your content at some point, and he's telling me, you know what, like Tanner, actually he is he trains that way in real life, like the way he squats and how deep he squats and the like I think he squat like 300 pounds for breakfast, I think.
Oh man, I'm getting back up there now. I've dealt with lots of injuries, but I'm in the process of getting stronger again or getting strong again. And I will tell you this, like I practice what I preach, and I would never put out a message or tell anyone to do anything that I have not done myself 1,000 times. So it's that's maybe one reason why my content is legitimate and because I do what I say.
Super. So before we start talking about the content creation, the business, the fitness industry in general, I want to touch base a bit on young Tanner growing up. Were you like this shredded and buff?
Yeah,
growing up,
I can touch on that.
Sure.
I'm very fortunate, and I think a lot of regards. I had really good parents, extremely good parents, and my mother's the best mother in the world, and my father, I consider him the best father. My father he's always been hard on me, like in a good way, tough love. And he started me training. He started training me when I was 9 years old. So I was just a kid, and I wanted to play American football. And my father said, well, if you want to play American football, you need to get in shape first. You need to start training and working out for that. Because if you're going to do anything, you need to take it seriously. And like hearing that as a 10-year-old kid, it's like, you don't really know what to think, but I just knew I wanted to play football. And I thought to myself, all right, well, if this is what it takes to be able to play, then I'm going to do what it takes. So I was raised in a gym, brought up in a gym. It's really all I've ever done and really enjoyed. I played sports my entire time growing up through, a teenager, high school. I played Division I college football.
Okay.
So that's the highest level of college football you can play, at least in the United States.
Who did you play for?
I played for Rice University in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to get a full ride scholarship there to go play football, and did that. Played football, got my education, and then once I finished up playing college football, I was I think 23 or 24 years old. And I knew I really was not cut out for, I guess, a real job. And I wanted to continue training and exercising and kind of continuing to be athletic or continue to be an athlete. So naturally, I had a seamless transition into the world of competitive CrossFit after I finished playing college football. So exercising, training, being fit, that's all I've ever done, really since I was a kid. So I do have an advantage on that. And to answer your original question, yes, I've always kind of maintained kind of a lean and muscular physique, but it's because I've been training my whole life
from a very young age.
Yep.
And speaking of football, like I know it's not part of what we're supposed to discuss today, but so you were playing Division I college football, and didn't you think of maybe pursuing a career in the NFL? Or
I absolutely wanted to. That was like my dream. I didn't have the best college football experience.
Okay.
And so I didn't actually get to play as much as I would have liked to in college. And there's a lot, that's a whole nother backstory, but I would have loved to have played, professional football. And some of my best friends, they've had very successful careers in the NFL, so multimillionaires, very successful men, played, one guy played, I think 12 years in the NFL, one of my best friends. So really, really successful guy and an amazing football player. I would have loved to have done that. Unfortunately, reality set in, and I think it's like 0.00001% of, all men are able to even go play at the NFL at the highest level.
True.
Unfortunately, I didn't fit into that very small percentile. So once I finished up playing college football, I realized, playing professional football in the NFL was most likely not going to happen. And then that was really when the time when CrossFit also was kind of becoming popular. This is around 2012, 2013.
Okay.
And I thought, you know what? All right, if I can't play professional football, then I'm just going to, be a professional exerciser.
Nice.
In essence. I know that sounds silly, but like that was legitimately my mindset. I was like, all right, if I can't go play pro football, then I'm just going to work out for a living. And so that was my mindset. And that's kind of what really got me to where I am today.
So CrossFit, you started CrossFit around 2012, 2013?
I first discovered it, I think, in 2012.
Okay.
Because I was still playing college football.
Yeah.
But I saw the CrossFit Games, on ESPN. That's a popular sports channel in the U.S. So first discovered it there. And then I immediately knew, once I saw that, all right, if football doesn't pan out, I'm just going to go work out. I'm just going to get as good as I can at CrossFit. And sure enough, that's kind of what happened. So,
but thinking of this, like I want to dive a bit deeper on your thought process, because when you start training CrossFit, there are some elements in CrossFit like gymnastics, for instance.
Absolutely. The style of training is much different than training specifically for football. Much different. So there was a very large learning curve to kind of transition from college football and that kind of style of traditional strength and conditioning into, a much more varied, more random, style of CrossFit training where there's a lot of skills involved that I had to learn or pick up on, that I'd never done, because I've never done gymnastics.
Yeah.
And I played football my whole life. I'd never done like
muscle ups.
Muscle ups or any kind of, mid-level to high-level skill gymnastics.
Yeah.
Or just the level of, conditioning and aerobic capacity that's required in the sport of CrossFit. I think CrossFit's actually the hardest sport to do.
True.
It's also one of the hardest and probably least rewarding. I feel like the CrossFit athletes, they probably work harder than most any other professional athlete, and probably, are paid the least or get rewarded the least, and probably the least recognized. So it's kind of funny how that works, but it's just the truth. So there was a big learning curve, but I love that. I love challenging myself, and I just figured, all right, this is something I could be good at. And I just worked at it and worked at it and worked at it until I became, a good CrossFitter.
All right. And so from what I know, like when we talked before, you came to Dubai to compete in it's not the CrossFit. It was a qualification for the CrossFit Games.
Correct. Yeah.
So it was Dubai.
It was the Dubai Fitness Championship.
Okay.
At that time, which is the same competition that's actually happening later this weekend.
Okay.
It's now branded as the Dubai CrossFit Championship. But the Dubai Fitness Championship, Dubai CrossFit Championship, is the same competition, just with a slightly different name now.
Okay.
But yes, that's what originally brought me to Dubai, and that was back in 2013.
Okay.
Long story short, I'll try to get down to it. After I finished playing college football, I immediately knew I just wanted to work out and do CrossFit. So one thing led to another thing. I ended up going to the Philippines to visit my father, like on a vacation. And I just randomly went into a CrossFit gym there in Manila to work out. Right place, right time. I got a job coaching CrossFit there because their coach was leaving for another job, and they needed kind of an experienced coach, to take that role. So they offered me a job, and I took it because at that time, going to the CrossFit Games was all I cared about. And if I was based in Asia, in the Asia region for CrossFit, it was a much less competitive region to try to qualify for the CrossFit Games. So that was why I took the job, because I just really wanted to go to the CrossFit Games as fast as I could.
Yeah.
So it was kind of my first year into CrossFit. Right place, right time. Got a job coaching in the Philippines. Then I heard about this big fitness competition in Dubai, where they're giving away, a pretty substantial amount of money, prize money, for working out. And so I was like, awesome, let's do it. So I flew from the Philippines to Dubai specifically just to do the Dubai Fitness Championship. Flew here. I had to qualify for the competition. This is when they still had like in-person qualifiers. Now the event is online, or I think it's actually it's invite only now.
Interesting.
So, yeah. Okay. So the event's evolved, which is good. But so thankfully I qualified for the competition, and just my first year doing CrossFit, I ended up getting third in 2013 at the Dubai Fitness Championship. I made the podium. I'm very thankful I won some prize money. So, and my performance at that competition afforded me with another opportunity to coach CrossFit here in Dubai. So I received a job offer to coach CrossFit in a CrossFit gym that was soon to open here in Dubai. This is back in 2013, end of 2013. So that was a much better opportunity than what I had in the Philippines. So left the Philippines, moved to Dubai, started coaching CrossFit, and I've been here basically since. So nearly 10 years later. I coached CrossFit for 6 years. Now I've transitioned to kind of working into myself, working for myself, and here we are.
Nice, awesome. And speaking of Dubai, so you're originally from Houston?
I'm originally from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I went to college in Houston.
Okay, so Oklahoma in winters are cold.
They can be, certainly.
Yeah.
They're not the most severe winters, but anyone that's lived in Oklahoma or has been to Oklahoma in the wintertime, they're nothing to, scoff at. It's like it can be really cold. They can have some pretty severe weather there at times.
So how do you find the weather in Dubai? Because I think it's kind of close to the weather in Houston, except for in Houston, I think a year or 2 years ago, it was actually snowing in Houston, which is a rare occasion.
Out of the 5 years,
but the humidity is...
The 5 years that I lived in Houston, it snowed one time when I was there. Normally it never snows. Extremely humid because it's really close to the ocean. So I would say Dubai in general is more hot. The weather in general is more hot than Houston. There's less seasons.
Yeah.
There's more seasons in Houston. The humidity, I would say, is a bit more severe in Houston. It's year round. I think in Dubai, you have parts of the year where it's more and less humid than others.
Nice. But you've been 10 years, so you're coping now with the weather.
I'll preface this. I'm not a cold weather person.
Okay.
I don't like or enjoy living and being exposed to cold weather. So Dubai works well for me. I mean, it's either hot or really hot here, and thankfully I can tolerate the heat fairly well. And then when it's too hot, you can always go take a vacation for, a little while to get out of it. That's what a lot of people do, when it's so hot here. So Dubai has been really good to me, and I like the weather, I'd say more than I don't like it.
Interesting. Yeah. I think especially like to me, I've been here in Dubai now 8 years, or approaching the 8-year mark. And the thing is, I try as much as I can to escape summertime.
Yes.
So like if I can escape July and August,
those are the best months to get away.
Super. Yeah. Now I can enjoy the entire
absolutely. You can enjoy kind of the entire year.
Yeah.
I did the same this past year. I traveled. My girlfriend and I traveled to California for the month of August, the entire month, just to kind of escape the heat, because it's July and August are the most brutal months here.
They're brutal.
Yeah.
Cool. So 2012, you started doing the CrossFit. You came to Dubai. You started coaching, so you got the opportunity to coach CrossFit here in Dubai. When did you start delving into the social media world?
Really not until, I would say, late 2018, 2019. That's when I did it. And it's funny. I've really evolved on that and changed my mindset. Like, so back in 2014, 2015, I was kind of anti-social media. I didn't really post anything. I didn't really want anyone to know what I was up to. I wasn't putting out any kind of, fitness content, or really I would, consume a little bit. And really my life at that time on social media was just Instagram. I feel like that's a lot of people, that's the main form of social media they use.
Yeah.
Instagram. And I didn't really start taking social media more seriously till I'd say probably the early 2019, because I realized if I wanted to grow, my fitness career and, take fitness as kind of a serious profession, I could no longer only be an in-person trainer or an in-person coach. I'd kind of reached the ceiling of that profession, of being an in-person coach, because there's only so many hours in a day,
that
you can work on the gym floor and
yeah.
do, personal training sessions or coach classes. And so obviously I was pretty observant of what some other successful trainers were doing, and they were growing on social media, putting out fitness content. So this is, like over 4 years ago now. And yeah, that's really what I started doing. So I just started taking social media more seriously, and I just started posting more consistently. And, that it was a very long process, and it took time and a lot of, like I said, effort and consistency. So I started taking social media more seriously and trying to use it to my advantage early 2019. And that's really just kind of slowly grown and evolved until where we are today.
When you started it, so you were noticing some other colleagues growing on their social media, but
trends.
Did you see the growth in terms of monetizing from the social media itself, or from working online and coaching online?
So I think they kind of work hand in hand. And again, I never hired a coach or a mentor. I kind of did everything myself, and I just learned, through, you could say through osmosis, just putting myself through it. But what I did notice is one guy that I was watching closely at the time. It's interesting now because I've kind of surpassed him now, at least kind of on a social media level, maybe professionally as well. But I just noticed what he was doing, and I kind of just emulated him. I just saw, all right, he had a website. He's posting consistently. He's selling, online training programs, ebooks. And that's kind of where I started. So I researched all right, how do I build a website? I went through 3 different websites. All right, what do I need to do to put out better, content? How do I make my content, contain more value? How do I get people to watch the content? So these are all things that I learned and kind of studied, and I just observed what other people were doing. They were having some success, and I really just tried to emulate them. And I also learned that, social media can be a very kind of self-absorbed and narcissistic thing. I also realized that from, a pretty early on. And I knew that, all right, if I want people to take me seriously, I can't just talk about myself and what I'm doing. I can't just show my workout for that day, because truthfully, no one really cares what I'm doing. People only care about themselves. Everyone is inherently selfish. And so if you want people to follow you, you need to provide them value. How can you help them? So when I had that kind of fundamental mindset shift, I started growing a bit, following a bit more quickly. And really it was just about helping people, providing value. And I think was a crucial mindset shift that I had that, has allowed me to experience some success.
Absolutely. Tell me about it. So the idea is, because the nature of what I'm working on right now is that I get to talk with a lot of coaches and Instagram personnels, and the main idea that I try to maneuver or change the mindset is education.
Absolutely.
The information is out there. People can search on the internet and find the information. But if you're not showing and giving out as much information as you could, you will be lost in the shuffle. You will not reach a situation where people can actually look up to you and say, okay, this man or this dude or this person knows what they're talking about, and if I want to learn something, I'm gonna learn from them.
Agreed.
So it's a crucial part. It's a crucial part, and I like the way that you have taken that mindset.
I use social media very intentionally, because if you're able to harness the power of social media, it's incredibly powerful. So, and I think social media can go one of two ways. It can be incredibly detrimental, depending on what social media you consume. It can be a huge waste of time or make you feel bad about yourself, or it can also be incredibly, positive, beneficial if you use it in a way to help others and you put out a positive, uplifting, informative, educational message. So I chose the latter. So I try to, 99% of all my content that I've put out, it's usually going to be some kind of educational content, and I'll try to make it more, entertaining as I can. Yeah. Sometimes it's very blunt and direct, but it does have some kind of educational message to it to help people, hopefully be healthier, or, like I said, just become a better version of themselves.
Yeah, but one thing you just pointed out, it can also be detrimental because we've seen, like I do believe people are smart in general, and whoever is consuming the content would know what's right or what's wrong, what's true and what's not true.
Agreed.
And but the thing is, you get to see also a lot of growth when it comes to. Like without calling out someone, right? But eating raw liver,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And then
sensationalism.
Exactly. And how do you see this? Like, do you see this should be cancelled? Like, are you pro cancel culture in that part, or do you see it's about no, we have to put out the right education and
It's funny you ask that, because that's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Because yes, there's so much bad or false information on social media, because there's no one to regulate social media. There's no one can regulate that.
Yeah.
I mean, in essence, I guess you could in a way. There's cancel culture, but I also believe in free speech. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm an American, and free speech is one of, I guess, the core principles of being American. You're able to say what you believe and what you want to say. It can be a positive and negative in that regard. Like I believe you should be able to put out the content you want to put out, but at the same time, it can be to the detriment of a lot of people if you're putting out, bad or false content. But thankfully, there's all kinds of other content creators that love calling people out, picking on people, and call out and create all kind of social media drama and say who's right, who's wrong. There's a lot of content creators that are much better at that than me. I'm personally not I feel like if I don't have anything nice to say about anyone, even if it's someone that's an extreme sensationalist person and they're put out terrible content, I'm usually like, all right, if I can't think of anything better to make, then rather than just talk badly about someone, I probably shouldn't make that content.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion. Not everyone's going to agree with that. And so 99% of my content, you're not going to hear me talking badly about other content creators. And there's been a lot of content creators that have made content specifically about me, talking badly about me. I let that kind of roll off my back and I just move on. Again, that really is a personal decision. That's just who I am. Again,
so you decided to block the noise in general.
Yeah, I try to block the noise, and I like I said, I think to myself, if I don't have anything nice to say about anyone, then it's probably better to say nothing at all. And I also look at it as, even if some content creator is putting out the worst fitness advice, or their advice is wrong or inaccurate, I also look at it as, all right, what's the big picture on this? This person, this content creator, may be putting out inaccurate, fitness content, but at the same time, they're still delivering a message of kind of health and wellness. So the overall impact of their content on their
might
audience,
be that someone, instead of sitting there on a chair, can actually go out there and work out or try something.
Exactly. Even if their workout is terrible or their nutrition advice is terrible, at least the message they're delivering is probably overall, it does have a net positive, where it's getting someone to actually be more mindful about what food they eat, or, get off the couch and go for a walk or do a workout. So like, I'm not big on tearing others down. That's just a personal belief I have.
But did it ever get to your nerve? Like, I don't know, like if you are watching other content creators who are picking on you, did you ever watch any of those videos?
I've watched them, many times for sure. Okay. And believe me, there's been times where I've really wanted to, make like a rebuttal or like make a response to that, and do that. But then I think about, all right, is that really the best thing to serve my audience?
Okay.
That's kind of a selfish approach. If I need to take the time out of my day to make a well-produced piece of content to make a rebuttal against some other content creator that disagrees with me, I think to myself, all right, that's actually not being the bigger person. That's not being mature. That's being selfish. And so, I can't control what anyone else is doing. I know that. I can only control what I'm doing.
What you're doing.
My attitude, my effort, and things like that. So what I do is I just completely ignore it. And then, 1 or 2 days goes by and I just forget about it. Or there's also been times where I've had people that are quite negative or very persistent. And sometimes I'd have to block that person, on Instagram, or whatever. But I try not to let it get to me. And I also tell myself, you know what, if I have haters, that's probably a good thing. That probably means I'm actually doing something right. Because if you try to make content for everyone and try to be agreeable to everyone, you're actually going to please no one. You're not going to speak to anyone. So, that's how I look at it.
Awesome. I love the mindset. So if you were to advise someone who's delving into the social media world today, can you pinpoint top 3 things that they have to focus on?
Yes, that's kind of on the spot, but I would just say that the things that immediately come to mind would be who you are, be genuine, be honest, okay? And I would also say, do not be afraid to speak your mind. Because again, what I just said, I think it's better to be possibly polarizing and controversial, rather than it is to be just really vanilla and bland and basic. And also you have to think about, or at least the approach that I've taken with my content is like, I would rather be loved or hated than not be noticed at all. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, especially if you really believe in your message and what you're putting out there. There's a really good chance other people are going to believe and resonate with that message as well. All right. And so I think that's a good thing to do. Also, consistency, with your content. Like, I didn't build, even though I consider myself, I have a modest following on social media.
True.
But I didn't build that following overnight. It was, it took me years, of consistent posting, growing, putting out content, making bad content, failing, trying and then trying again. So consistency is really important. Also, if you know that you want to take content seriously, take it seriously. Like, put out well-produced content. Like, in today's day and age, social media it's everywhere. Everywhere. Everyone consumes some form of social media. And if you want to stand out or grow, take it seriously. Like, so put out well-produced, well-thought-out, planned content. Don't be afraid to work hard at it. Like, content creation, so it's hard. Just like, I have the utmost respect for you and really anyone that goes out of the way to put out and make content. It's a lot easier just to sit at home and do nothing and just stare at your phone and watch other people do the work. But if you want to do something, man, it takes a lot of effort. So yeah, just take it seriously, be consistent, and, be genuine.
Awesome. And speaking of content quality, so when we talk about quality, it's about the quality of the information or the quality also of the production?
Yeah, both. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I probably should have clarified that. Yeah. I would always encourage you to put out, quality information, and hopefully it's accurate and true. Again, I mean, my truth may be different to other people's truth, but I really believe in what I'm saying. So that's why everything I put out there, I can say it with conviction because I truly believe it. But also, I noticed I started to grow much, much more on social media when I started taking my content production and content quality more seriously. So, and I have, I worked really hard. I hired a full-time videographer and editor. I have spent a decent amount of money, on cameras, lenses, lighting, these kind of things. So I've done it. Like, I've kind of somewhat experienced in the game of social media. And that's one thing that's allowed me to grow. Like like I said, anything that I do, I aspire to do it well. So I think that's, probably some good advice that I would want to impart on anyone that wants to grow, on social media.
Cool. And speaking of social media again, so you started first Instagram.
Yes.
Followed by TikTok, and now you started also a YouTube channel.
Correct. I've really never really taken TikTok seriously, to be clear. It's like where my lowest following is. I do post on TikTok, but it's basically just repurposed content. Often? Probably like 3 or 4 times a week. I tried. Yeah, probably not enough. Yeah. I've heard that if you want to grow on TikTok, you need to be posting multiple times a day.
Yeah, 3 times a day at least.
Yeah. So I've heard that, and it's funny before I came over here, I was actually scheduling content. Like trying to get ahead. Yeah. So yeah, TikToks, I still need to work on that. Mainly Instagram. That's still where my largest following is, and that's the platform that I've definitely spent the most time on, and obviously where I've consumed the most, consumed the most content. But I had a bad experience in 2022, which has actually ended up being the best thing that ever happened to me. So Meta or Facebook, they basically disabled my entire Facebook and Instagram account. So basically my Instagram account, Facebook was disabled, taken away from me, like banned. Still don't know why, what happened, whether someone hacked my account or whatnot. All I can say it was a terrible, terrible thing to go through because I'd been working really hard on Instagram for like 2 or 3 years to try to build my following. At the time, I think I had like maybe 30 or 35,000 followers, just something, and it was really important to me because I worked really hard to get those followers. And then I just wake up one day and try to open up Instagram and it's completely blocked, turned off. Like my account's been disabled, hacked, don't have it. And so like my entire life on social media had been ripped away from me.
Yeah.
And it made me realize, like, wow, I am so vulnerable. My entire life on social media was just on one platform, and then it was just ripped away from me, taken away from me. And I felt like helpless, but going through that actually made me realize, all right, you're not being very smart about this. You've put all your eggs in one basket and you really should diversify. So that's when I started, building a YouTube channel and taking that seriously. And I had 0 subscribers.
Okay.
Like basically in March of 2022. And since then, I've been taking YouTube more seriously than probably any other platform because as a content creator, especially a fitness content creator, in my opinion, the most legitimate and most credible fitness, creators are actually YouTubers. They're not Instagrammers or TikTokers or anything like that. So I started taking YouTube more seriously just because I feel like it's probably the best platform, of all like the major social media platforms to be on.
Yeah.
If you want people to take you seriously. So.
And I think the main reason is YouTube has always been about video content, right? It never changed. It's always been video content. Sometimes it's long form, sometimes it's short form, vertical form, horizontal, but it's always been video. While Instagram, it started first as a pictures and then reels and then stories, and then now they're trying to go a bit more towards a medium-sized content, right? Like now they support 1.5 minutes. Maybe later on it's going to be 3 minutes. And I think actually when they started the reels, it started at 3 minutes, and then it went down to 1 minute, and then now 1.5 minutes. So
well, what you notice is like all these platforms are competing against each other because they're fighting for people's views, people's clicks, people's attention spans, and TikTok really, I feel like that was a platform that really jump-started that short form vertical style, content. And so as you notice, when TikTok came out, a lot of people started getting off Instagram and going to TikTok because it was just, new and kind of, I guess, better content. People prefer video content a lot of times over pictures. And then YouTube followed shortly after. They started with YouTube Shorts. If you look at that, it is what it is. Like all 3 of those platforms, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, it's all just the same. Short form, vertical content. All right. And when I say vertical, I just mean like that vertical portrait style content for anyone that may not know. But, it's like short form. It's got to be YouTube Shorts under 1 minute. I think TikTok's 90 seconds. And Instagram's 90 seconds. And then I think TikTok, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, is like up to 3 minutes.
Up to 3 minutes now, yeah.
So I haven't spent a lot of time on TikTok. So I'm still kind of familiarizing myself with that. But they're all just basically fighting for each other's, for people's attention. So there's been a lot of that. But I think in general, YouTube, the long form videos, I don't think those will ever go anywhere. Maybe they've been a bit less popular just because there's so much competition with like the short form video content. But I think you'll see, long form video. I don't think it'll ever go anywhere.
Yeah. I do agree on that, and actually the way I do consume content, especially like the content I usually consume are either technology related, because this is what I work on, or video games. I'm a gamer, like a hardcore gamer.
A lot of people are gamers, man.
Yeah, and when I do consume that content, actually I look for the long form content. I want to learn something here. I want to see this video review of that video game. So I do still consume that. I think it's not going to go anywhere.
No. Do you know what the largest, I'm sure you probably do, but the largest search engine in the world is? Do you know what it is?
Other than Google?
It's Google. It's Google.
Yeah.
And so do you know what the second largest search engine?
I thought that's going to be
That was
tricky.
too obvious. Sorry, not to confuse you. The first largest search engine in the world that people use is Google. That's why it's even became a word. Hey, just go Google that. Now it's like literally a verb in the dictionary. It's a word. And the second largest search engine is YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay.
True.
So you can learn anything you want on YouTube.
100%.
Anything. It's amazing. And a lot of times I don't even Google things anymore. I just YouTube it because if you can learn something through a video, you're able to learn it usually faster than just like reading it. So YouTube is an incredible platform, and something that you should probably touch on is a big difference between like a platform like YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok is Instagram and TikTok. Those are archived based platforms. All right. That means you post something, and then, 2 or 3 days later, it dies.
Yeah.
People forget about it. And you don't even know. Like, no one even knows what I posted on Instagram yesterday. I don't even know what I posted on Instagram yesterday or the day before. All right. But whereas with YouTube, that's a search-based platform.
Sure.
So you can put out an educational YouTube video, or it can even be entertaining.
And it can live for years.
It could live for years. It could still be getting views 10 years from now.
Yeah.
So that's a huge difference in those platforms. So understand the difference between like a search-based platform and like an archive-based platform. And I feel like, in my opinion, in YouTube, you can monetize a YouTube channel. You can actually get paid to create content with YouTube. Yeah, you have to work hard for it, but you can do it. Anybody can start their own YouTube channel and start making money from it. Instagram and TikTok are never really, you've never been able to do that.
Yeah.
So there's some differences in those platforms that I think is important to know if you want to, take content creation more seriously.
So what kind of content are you actually creating right now on YouTube? Like
now, so just in the past, I think probably 5 or 6 weeks, I've actually just started vlogging. Like, vlogging's been one of the oldest styles of content out there, just like vlog what you're doing in it. It really kind of lost popularity, I feel like, a lot, but now it's like, I feel
coming
like
back,
new,
maybe.
A new era of YouTube might be coming around. Like, trends happen in all social media and all platforms. So like, I feel like the authenticity era of YouTube may be starting again, and people you start to see more people like vlogging.
Yeah.
And like a big catalyst of that was a guy named Sam Sulik.
Yep.
He's just a kid who just started vlogging his workouts, and he did it for like 9 or 10 months straight.
Yeah.
His content's nothing special. It's just him and his workouts, him talking in his car, him going through the workouts and talking about as he does them. And the guy has built up a YouTube channel of like 2.5 million people in just a matter of 9 months.
Yeah.
He just exploded. And to my knowledge, I could be wrong. I think he might have been the first guy that actually just started vlogging all of his workouts and putting it out there. And again, he's a pretty fascinating character guy because he's 21, is extremely muscular, extremely jacked. He's a bodybuilder, and he's just created a pretty genuine connection with his audience just by being himself through his vlogs. So I've actually, and I'm not ashamed to say this, I've copied that, and I realized, maybe there is an audience for that. If you can put out, a daily workout, or at least, 4 videos a week of me going through my workouts, I think I can build a genuine connection with people. So I've been focusing really hard on that lately. And then I still put out YouTube shorts, and I still put out probably one high quality edited scripted YouTube video every 10 to 14 days.
Nice.
So lately, my goal is I want to grow on YouTube. So I'm like doing everything I can. I'm working hard at it. And my growth's been, somewhat slow, but it's constant. At least I'm growing all the time.
I think it's doing all right.
Yeah, it's doing okay. Yeah. So I'm thankful for it. But yeah, lately I've just been putting out, 4 videos a week of just my workouts. And I feel like I've been getting a lot of feedback on it, positive feedback, not many views, which I don't care about. I'm hoping, we'll see what happens in like 6-9 months of consistency. But the positive feedback has been really good on it. So I'm going to continue with that. And then I put out a YouTube short probably 5 times a week. A lot of times it's the same content that I'll use for Instagram or TikTok. So you can just repurpose those on different platforms. And then I'll put out like a pretty high quality, like I said, well edited, well scripted YouTube video as well.
Nice.
So I spend a lot of time on YouTube. That's like where my mind is at right now. And that's where I really want to grow.
Then how are you doing it, man? Because past 10 minutes we have been talking about social media. And we are realizing, and we're trying to even educate here as well, that it's a lot of hard work.
Absolutely.
Preparation, scheduling, content, getting the ideas, being creative, and doing all that. Plus, you're still coaching.
Yeah.
Plus,
I still have like an online fitness business that I manage.
And you're still working out.
Yeah.
And you're still trying to be jacked. And you have a girlfriend. You want to spend some time with her. And
yeah. Have to. I love my girlfriend.
How are you doing all that?
I work every day. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not saying that's healthy. I'm not saying I'm not advocating anyone take that approach where they work every day. But because I work for myself, and I'm kind of an entrepreneur. It's like if I don't work, I don't get anything. If I don't work, I don't eat. It's like that simple. And again, I don't think everyone should work every day. But when you work for yourself and you really love what you do, it's hard to switch off sometimes.
Yeah.
It really is. So I every day I'm going to do something to, build my business, whether that's, work on my coaching business, obviously take care of clients because I still got to do a good job and be a good coach to them. But I mean, even just before I came to this podcast, like I spent probably an hour writing out and rewriting and scripting a video that I'm going to be filming in the next 2 days. And I was also scheduling content to post later this week for YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And I train. So how I spend my time is extremely important. I wake up early and I work late. I wish I had a better answer, but I don't. Like, I work a lot.
Okay.
I work really hard, and I do it consistently.
Did you ever go through any kind of burnout or feel like, I need to stop for, like, give myself some time to just recover?
Yeah.
Especially coming from fitness as well. Like, for the muscle to grow, the best thing is to make it recover.
Absolutely. So. And so that is 100% true. And I would say I spend way more time sitting behind my computer thinking about content and making content than I do working out. Because yes, you're right. If you want to grow, you actually have to take time off and recover.
Yeah.
Whereas with work, as frustrating as it is, there's always something that I could be doing to be kind of pushing the needle forward, And so do I experience burnout? Maybe some days, maybe there's be days where I'm just like, my brain is fried and I need to take like the afternoon off or something like that. But in essence, like, I never feel burned out because I always think about, all right, what could I be doing? I could still be, a trainer in the gym, that's doing PTs for 8 to 10 hours a day, stuck on the gym floor. And that's not a bad thing. It's not. And I in no way, shape or form is that bad, but I just realized, all right, I don't have to do these things. I don't have to work for myself. I get to. So I kind of have that mindset shift, like, all right, do I want to grow or do I want to stay the same? And I'm kind of one of those people that I fear being in the same place next year that I am right now. Like, I fear not growing. So that always kind of inspires me. You're like, all right, man, you know what? Like, you need to do this. Like, do it now. So again, it's a choice. And I'm one thing about me is like, I'm really big on believing, about how you live your life, and everything in your life is a choice. So I just remind myself, man, I don't have to do this. I don't have to try to be on YouTube. I don't have to try to put out a post on Instagram, and I don't have to run an online fitness business. There's always alternatives, but in my mind, those alternatives are far worse than what I'm doing. So I choose to do what I do.
Nice. So speaking of the online training, so Truestrength is your
my brand.
Online coaching brand.
Correct.
When did you start working on that brand?
Yeah.
Why did you decide actually to call it Truestrength?
Sure. There's little stories behind that.
Yeah.
I started Truestrength in probably January or February of 2019. I was still coaching CrossFit at the time. I was working at a gym called CrossFit Metalize here in Dubai, kind of on the other side of Dubai. But I realized, again, I've already said this, but I'd kind of reached the ceiling on my, personal training, coaching career. I couldn't make any more money. I couldn't work any more hours. And I knew I can't work for someone else my entire life. Like, that wasn't going to make me happier. I would not be fulfilled doing that. And I just looked at some other guys. Like I told you, I looked at what some other successful guys in fitness were doing, and they'd started their own brands. They started working for themselves. And I was like, you know what? If I'm going to take myself seriously, I need to start my own brand. I need to start working for myself. I can't just always work for someone else and make them money. I need to make myself money. So then Truestrength was essentially, born. And it wasn't always Truestrength. It went through a name change, but it was originally called Next Level Fitness, which is pretty cliche. Like,
okay,
there's a lot of like, because I wanted to open up a gym at that time, and I thought I was going to call it like Next Level Gym. It's kind of funny. I haven't told anybody that. I even got a logo and brand and everything like that. But I was like, you know what? That's just not going to work. And
it's so cliche, but it's not bad, by the way.
Yeah, you're right. It's but it was way overused. That name and things was really, really saturated. I did some research on it, and then I thought, you know what? Truestrength. And I thought it made sense, because you can see right here, like, that's kind of my logo right there.
Yeah.
So TS, I don't know if you guys can see that. But Truestrength, my name's Tanner Shuck, so TS. And also, in my opinion, Truestrength, it really embodied what I'm about really well, especially my philosophy behind training. If you know anything about training, and not everyone will, but I really love doing absolute strength, which is like lifting barbells. I also love training relative strength, which is being strong with your own body weight, you know, like moving your own body. And then also mental strength, being mentally strong, being able to push yourself hard, not just in workouts or exercise, but, you know, in every aspect of your life. So I feel like if you have the combination of absolute strength, relative strength, and mental strength, that really kind of embodies what true strength is. That just made sense to me at the time, and I've stuck with it.
Nice.
You know, so that's how it came to be.
Super, super. I love it. And so when it comes to your coaching philosophy, especially when it goes with online coaching, because your main philosophy right now is strength and conditioning, right?
Yes.
Which
mostly, yeah, you can say that.
I'm not a coach. I'm just an enthusiast. So,
Yes.
but I would imagine that strength and conditioning form is essential. Actually, in any workout philosophy, like even if you're doing bodybuilding and working like hypertrophy and stuff like that, you still have to focus on form. But I think maybe it's a bit more with strength and conditioning.
I would say, I think people tend to overcomplicate it again, and I'm biased. I think any form of exercise is better than no exercise. But there's so many different things that you could do these days, and there's a lot of, you know, different paths a person could take, you know, for their own health and fitness. I've taken the path of, you know, what I've just always done in a sense. I've always lifted weights. I've always tried to be strong, and I've always, you know, maintained a good level of cardiovascular fitness. So I'm fit, I'm healthy. And in my opinion, actually, I think it's pretty factual as well. Lifting weights, getting stronger, building muscle is the single greatest way to spend your time exercising, regardless of what kind of exercising you're doing. If you want to get the most value and the most benefit and get really the best return on your investment of training, lifting weights is number one, just because it improves, you know, lean body mass, meaning it builds muscle, you get stronger. And the longer that you can maintain lean body mass as any human goes through the aging process, the stronger you can stay, the longer you can maintain muscle mass as you age, the longer you live. So it improves your quality of life and it improves your lifespan. So I'm very partial to strength training and just basic strength training, like any kind of basic strength training, whether that's just doing squats, deadlifts, or if you're even using machines like a chest press machine or a leg press machine. Like building and maintaining muscle is the best way to spend your time exercising for health.
And how do you retain online clients for longer, especially that it's still a remote interaction?
It is,
so
yeah.
What's your philosophy also around that?
Well, first, what your clients care about, they care about themselves. They just care about getting results. So you definitely must get your clients results if you expect to retain them. All right. And really, if you're putting out a good product and a good service, it kind of sells itself, if that makes sense, you know. And I have a lot of clients, a lot of them I do retain and I keep, and I've been coaching, you know, a number of clients for you know, years. And again, like that just kind of reflects on your experience and your product, but just getting people stronger, maintaining, improving their quality of life and their health, that's really the most important thing you can do. And the approach that I take for that is getting people strong in the basics, just basic foundational strength, you know, getting stronger by doing some kind of squatting variation with their legs, getting stronger, you know, with their upper body pushing muscles. So, you know, if they fell on the ground, they could actually have the strength to get up.
To push themselves.
You have to get themselves off the floor. You know, getting strong in every which way possible, because it'll just improve your life outside of the gym. So, yeah, I take a very simple and traditional approach to training. I keep it very simple and very basic, because the best forms of training are actually just, you know, the most basic forms, if that makes sense.
Yeah, true. Cool. And back to the situation with your Instagram being blocked. So did you start it all over again, or you figured out the way
That's a funny story how I got that back, actually. I really don't even know how I got it back. Luckily, this is a crazy story. My videographer, he's Filipino, and he knew some hackers in the Philippines that were able to hack my Instagram back on the dark web. I don't really even know how it happened, but
Okay.
it was like so sketchy how I got it back. I never would have got my Instagram back. Luckily, he knew some people that have experience in like hacking people or hacking other people, or like I guess getting their accounts back, because people's Instagrams or Facebook accounts get hacked all the time.
Yeah,
It's such
they're very vulnerable.
It's so vulnerable, and it happens so often that it's Facebook and Meta. It's out of control. Like they have so many users, and it happens to so many people all the time that their customer support is just atrocious,
Overwhelmed. Yeah.
non-existent. You know, like that's why I really don't like the company Meta or Facebook. It's like they have everyone, you know, have everyone in their control, if that makes sense, especially their social media, their life on social media. But I got my Instagram back. I hacked it back, if that makes sense.
Wow.
Through some hackers on the dark web. I had to pay him a decent amount of money.
Yeah.
I know that sounds really sketchy because it kind of is, and I'm still not exactly sure how I got it back. They were just able to get it back for me, and like that was the best money I ever spent.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it was such a relief that I got it
You should
back.
connect me with your photographer. I'll
I'll-
definitely need their help sometime.
Yeah, I will if you're ever dealing with issues. But
No.
I can help you with that.
So honestly, like, I've had my Instagram and Facebook like from the very beginning. Like back in the day, even when Instagram was like those just square pictures with very old filters, and I go back to like sometimes I scroll all the way back to the very first pictures I
too.
posted. So, and thankfully, I never had a situation where my account got hacked. But I'm always like, anytime I'm with someone or talking to someone, especially when they have a strong following or a strong influence on Instagram, they're always either with a problem that their account is hacked or is about to be hacked, or their ad account is not working.
Yeah,
So-
that's happened to me numerous times.
Yeah.
My ad accounts have been disabled or blocked.
Yeah.
I had to go through numerous things of those, and I've
Yeah.
had to work with people to help me get
Sometimes you don't even understand, like you're following policies, terms and conditions, everything,
Yeah.
yet it gets blocked. And then you just send an email, hey, I was just following, can you re-revise it again? And they re-revise it, and yeah, it's okay, it's fine.
Yeah, it's a strange thing.
Yeah.
Like the policies and community guidelines on Facebook and Meta, they're like really, really strict. But they make so much money because that's still where most people's attention is. It's on Facebook and Instagram. Like they're incredibly powerful platforms, especially for advertising and marketing and trying to earn money. And as much as I hate to say it, like I need Instagram, and Facebook because it helps me with my coaching business.
Absolutely.
So like I don't like the platforms just because they're quite saturated and diluted and in some ways.
Yeah.
And they're just not great platforms in some ways. I just don't like them.
Yeah.
But they're still necessary and I still
No,
need
absolutely.
them.
I
So
agree 100%.
you just is what it is. Mark Zuckerberg he's got us all.
True. So, speaking of training, can you or do you remember what would be your favorite training moments?
Wow, that's a not difficult question to answer. I've worked out so much. I've forgotten so many workouts that I've done. I would say probably the one that immediately comes to mind would probably be, it's easy. Back in 2014 when I won the Dubai CrossFit Championship, I won it. That was like a really tough competition. It was like a 4-day competition, and I say it's probably my most favorite one because I made a decent amount of money doing it.
Yeah.
But another one that comes to mind, like whenever you hit like a PR lift, that's always a good. Those always feel good. Especially now, I'm not young anymore. I'm like 36, and I'm still training really hard, and I'm still natural, like not enhanced. And so anytime I can hit some kind of PR in the gym, that's a really good day because PRs now for me are few and far between. So at the end of the day, again, I'm just very thankful to be able to work out. I look at it as, I don't have to work out, I get to. So I always look at it from a kind of a perspective of gratitude. So any day that I'm in the gym doing what I love, I'm like, all right, you know what, this is a great day because a lot of people don't have that opportunity to even work out. So that one winning the Dubai Fitness Championship probably is the first one that comes to mind.
Nice.
But yeah, it's good,
Awesome.
man.
Awesome.
It's really good.
And other than fitness and social media, do you have a hobby or something you can share with us that maybe not a lot of people know?
Yeah. Uh, well, I'm a huge fan of music. Particularly
Metallica?
particularly like heavy metal
Well,
music.
that's known, I think.
Yeah, maybe it is. So I spend way too much time actually at home watching heavy metal concerts on YouTube. So that's probably something not a lot of people know about me.
Nice.
And I love watching live music on YouTube.
So who are your favorite bands, or who do you
Man,
listen to?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Pantera.
Pantera, okay.
Yeah, Metallica. Obviously, I went and saw Metallica and Pantera live in concert earlier this year.
Where? Do you know actually?
In LA?
In LA.
Yeah.
Metallica are actually playing in Saudi in a couple of weeks.
No way.
Yes.
What?
Yes, way.
How come I
In
didn't know about
Riyadh.
that in Saudi?
Check their Instagram in
Oh, I
Saudi.
will.
Yes, sir.
Holy
I'm actually
crap.
contemplating that. I think they're playing on the 14th or 15th December. This
No way.
next week
I
or
don't know
so.
how. I've already seen him this year, but
Yeah.
that's great. That's like obviously probably the closest concert you'll ever get. That's
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
rough about living in Dubai.
I've been contemplating. So I actually went to 2 Metallica concerts before. One
Yeah.
in Toronto and one in Cologne in Germany.
yeah, Germany, okay.
So I actually fly to go to a Metallica concert.
Yeah, dude, I flew to LA to do it. Like,
Yeah?
that was actually the catalyst for
I'm
me
like
to get
thinking,
into it.
okay, so Riyadh is like what, a couple of hours away from here?
Yeah.
Shall I just pick a ticket and head
Man,
there?
if
I don't know.
if I wasn't already traveling, I'd probably do it. I'd probably
Yeah.
go. I didn't know that.
Nice.
But yeah, that's probably like my guilty pleasure that not a lot of
Yeah.
people know about me. So if I'm not working, if I'm not training or not making content, I might just be at home hanging out, chilling on my couch watching
Headbanging.
Yeah, headbanging, watching YouTube concerts.
Nice.
But yeah, that's kind of I guess one thing I do.
Nice.
Spend time with my girlfriend too. You know, if I don't, then I'm in trouble.
Yeah, of course. With all of this happening, you have to, man. You have to.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's really what probably not a lot of people know about me.
Super.
Just like a normal guy, really, honestly, I am.
True.
Yeah.
And what are your aspirations? So like when people go to job interviews, they are usually asked, okay, what do you see yourself doing in 5 years and so on. So what do you see yourself doing in 5 years?
You know what's funny is I've actually never even been to a proper job interview. I've never had a job interview.
That's better. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super lucky. But where do I foresee myself in 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
I foresee myself still being, very strong, very fit, in very shape. Like I think my fitness is always going to be really, really important to me.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of needs to be considering my profession. Hopefully, doing kind of what I'm doing now, just on a larger scale.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully in 5 more years time, will have been able to make a larger and bigger, impact on other people, just to help them, live a happier and healthier life. Just through being honest, being disciplined, not making excuses. But I would love it, 5 years from now, not to sound, hope this doesn't sound like narcissistic or I don't want to be arrogant, but hopefully I can have a following of like around 1 million people on YouTube, maybe Instagram. I'm not so concerned about other platforms, but right now I just want to grow on YouTube and reach and help more people. And if I can do that the next 5 years, then that would be amazing. I know one thing for sure is I'm going to try, and I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to quit. So
you're gonna get there.
hopefully that's where I'll be, man.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
Awesome,
thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. I know we had to prepare it. It's been a year in the making.
Yeah,
right?
essentially. No, and I should thank you for having me, man. I can tell you worked really hard on this. You did your research and took time to have me on your show. So thanks very much for having me on the LVLUP Podcast, man. It's an honor.
Awesome.
Do it again anytime.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, man.
It's a pleasure,
Take care.
man. Pleasure.